In the darkening theatre of Blakey's mind, a great reassembly took place. Center stage were the boy, the fugitive of Wonderland, and the Lewis Carroll statue on the run. They took cover behind a towering stone wall in the vast ruins of a once glorious but oppressive Victorian garden. The soaring, sloped hedges were now skeletal from lack of water and light. A thick carpet of dying leaves, permanently red and yellow, reached up to Blakey's thighs. The horrible calls of the shapes echoed over their heads into the surrounding woods, sounding as if they were everywhere. The statue looked down at the terrified boy and offered a consolation.
"I'm sorry. It's worse than I had suspected. It seems there are no more mirrors, not even in the royal palace."
The boy winced with fear, and the statue could not finish his apology. Howls grew louder, and the boy began to shudder, so the statue snatched the boy up and went loping into the remnants of a vast ancient armory. They tucked behind the 20-foot double doors. The statue left the door cracked to keep watch. The boy retreated from the door and looked around for a place to hide, accidentally knocking over an ancient push broom. The noise was not loud enough to be detected outside, but it was answered inside by an unexpected bump on the floor above. Despite the 20-foot ceiling, there was still another space above them. There was a sign at the bottom of the 2-story iron staircase which read, "Department of Unspeakable Weapons." Something still in residence had clearly been awakened. Another boom evolved into a rolling sound which reminded the boy of the time he went bowling with his mother. The statue was instantly suspicious and tracked its movement, knowing what it could be and hoping it wasn't. When the statue was certain of the source, it became tense and tossed the boy back on his shoulder to flee. It sped towards the opposite end of the half-a-mile-long building, looking for any other exit. The rolling sound followed, and in the ceiling's many rotted holes, at every wood-toothed cavity, a smiling white orb with a painted face peered through. Its unchanging, malignant expression shrieked without a moving mouth, in an abrasive, shrill voice, "Here, I've found them. Here they be. Here, in the armory. Me, I, them. Come quick!" The Lewis Carroll statue lunged into the air, reaching for the globe. When the massive bronze statue landed, the ground shook and the boy steadied himself. The orb deftly skirted from the hole, rolling across the ceiling in a big arc. The boy fearfully asked, "What is that?"
"Humpty Dumpty, the wretched blower."
The statue responded and jumped again, trying to grab it through the next hole.
"A regretful appropriation, a spy, betrayer from the moment of being written."
Humpty Dumpty was a bowling ball-sized egg on 2 wheels, and it rolled fiendishly along the floor above with its constant apathetic expression. The statue keenly anticipated its next location. Humpty sped and then slowed with a skater's grace until the bronze fist smashed through the ceiling. The egg was bumped in the air but landed skillfully, calling out like an air raid siren, they're here, come and see!" If the egg was not stopped, it would bring the monsters down upon them. Above all, its siren screams terrified the boy so much that he covered his ears and squeezed his eyes shut. The statue stopped chasing and stood perfectly still, like a lioness hunting gazelle. Humpty peeked out another hole 20 yards away, too far to grab, and squawked at the boy with its perpetual grin. "Lost boy, I found the boy, the wanted, the boy and the maker. They are here." The statue smashed through a support beam with one swift blow. It caused the ceiling to buckle, and Humpty Dumpty lost its balance, fell through the hole, and smashed on a grouping of gunpowder barrels. The statue hurried over and stomped the egg. Half a dozen 6-inch mechanical hens came scrambling out from under the bronze foot. One flew off awkwardly, but the rest were stomped by the statue. The last remaining piece of the eggshell called out a final time, so the statue ground it into powder against the floor, declaring,
"Spoiled rotten egg, should have never included you."
The statue suddenly remembered.
"I wrote an exit once, never made it into the books, never published. In the hedge maze, yes, that could be a way out, quickly."
The statue gently moved the boy aside and kicked a hole in the back wall big enough for him to slip through. The boy was on the other side before realizing the metal giant would not follow. The Lewis Carroll face appeared in the hole.
They'll catch us before we get there. You must go. I'll stay and deal with the beasts.
The boy desperately did not want to go on his own. The statue tapped his own head with a metallic ping.
Don't worry. What can they do to me?
The finger then extended, pointing behind the boy to a great wall of concrete in the distance through a sparse forest of trees.
You'll see it when you clear the trees. Head for the far left corner. Keep making your way left, towards the back. That's how it was written. Left is always right. A door should be there.
The boy backed away from the building, and the statue was still watching with an urgent but patient expression.
Go ahead. Far left, in the back.
The boy turned and began to run, just as the statue heard the shapes enter the armory. Even though it was half a mile away, it was clearly them. The towering doors opened, and dark silhouettes moved into formation. The statue rose to face them. Glinting eyes moved around in the dimming light, collecting and surrounding the back of the empty building. The boy heard the thunderous, muffled boom when they knocked the 20-foot piece of bronze to the ground. The statue grabbed the first shape on top of him and ground it into the cement floor with his massive weight. 4 others jumped on the statue's back, trying to find a weak point, but there was none. So they clawed and scratched in a frenzy. The statue pulled another shape off and twisted it in two like a tug of clay. Rising to its feet, the statue then smashed the remaining shapes of the first wave with its fists. The next wave then arrived. 15 more fanned out and raced through the armory towards him. The statue kicked the first to attack high into the air, smashing it through the ceiling, raining down dust and debris. Then it backhanded the 3 that were trying to flank him. They sailed into a wall, causing another explosion of destruction. The shapes spotted the hole in the back wall and tried to scramble through. The statue yanked them back, tossing them as if searching a pile of clothes. One squeezed past, so the statue slammed into the back wall, breaking through on the second attempt. Now the floodgates were open, and the rest of the shapes scattered into the open space, racing for the maze. Thunderous footsteps shook the ground when the statue dashed after them. It caught some of them at the tree line that separated the armory from the maze and mashed them into the ground. Some cut past the statue. It snagged one by the neck and another by its leg, and swung both into a tree and then tossed their bodies at the others, gaining on the boy. Even more reinforcements arrived, and the Carroll statue toppled, half-pinned his arms and legs to the ground as the other half galloped past with their ugly, lopsided gait.
I should have stuck to mathematics.
The statue complained, twisted violently, and knocked his captors loose. The statue then fully ran after the ones beelining for the boy. 20 shapes were nipping at the statue's heels. Out of breath, the boy could not continue. His tiny legs trembled with ache. Then there was a voice behind him. The surviving mechanical Humpty Dumpty hen fluttered down with a clumsy rattle of gears. It addressed the boy in an incongruously deep and logical voice.
Wasted breath. Academic. Purely academic. Do you know what academic means?
The boy stared, doubled over, hands on his legs, taking a moment to catch his breath before he shook his head no. The hen stopped its mechanical bird twitching and became eerily still.
Means you are here forever.
The shapes arrived through the trees and surrounded the boy. He had nowhere left to run. He would not escape.